Shauna here from White Crane Qigong. I'm in my home studio today. This morning I wanted to share something very different with you. About every 10 days or so I put up a Qigong practice. Today I want to dive a little bit deeper into what is behind the practice. What is the actual purpose of coming and training, doing the movements and the breath work? What will this actually achieve for you in your life? Any practice like yoga, Qigong, Tantra, any physical movement that's coupled with mindfulness and breath work, the ultimate goal is to bring you into a higher state of consciousness. This just means an elevated state of self-awareness. And in this elevated state of consciousness or self-awareness, we become more aware of the supreme or the divine consciousness or oneness of the universe. And through these techniques and modalities, we can actually unravel or unwind the heaviness and the burdens of our past. For myself, when I came to Qigong practice initially, I was just looking for something I could do at home. And very quickly, I realized that so much of my past pain, trauma, frustration, concerns of daily life were just gently yet profoundly melting away. I wasn't feeling as pressured. I wasn't feeling as tense. I wasn't as easily to frustrate or anger. And initially, nothing really changed in my external world other than my ability to respond to it rather than continuously going into these highly reactive patterns. I was living from a very unconscious state for a long time. And I guess, this unconscious state could be also maybe recognized more as survival mode. And when we're simply surviving, life becomes very tedious and there isn't a lot of pleasure to be had. We're continually distracted in our mind. For myself, these practices have really helped me to get out of my head, but also to release the past. Our body is our vehicle with which we take our consciousness through and our awareness through into life. And when this vehicle or this vessel is full, everything that happens in our lives is experienced through our body. And when the pressure continues to mount and we keep pushing it down and more keeps piling up on top, at some stage we really just can't take any more. And this usually leads to a physical illness. You might find that your life completely falls apart, relationships disintegrate. Whatever needs to happen to bring you out of that survival mode and into a state of absolute realization that you need to change and you need to do something to start looking after yourself in a different capacity, life will bring you that as a gift. And while you're in it, it feels like anything but a gift. But if we can shift our perspective and realize that these things happen to wake us up, to give us a little push in another direction that maybe our heart longs to go into, but our head is full of worry and concern and how and what if and what happens and why. Moving into the heart space, while it sounds really beautiful and ultimately it is, it can also be one of the most frightening and disarming positions to be in. The heart is humble and vulnerable, but it's also courageous and very directed. When you're on the path of the heart, you may find that you lose certain people in your life, relationships end, the career that you loved may no longer feel fulfilling. You may change locations. Whatever your heart needs to expand and open will be required, and you will be asked to do these things. And often it's so much easier just to pull back in and go into old patterns that are known, not because they're better or because that's where we want to be, but because they're familiar. So coming back to the practice of Qigong and the practices that I put up here on this channel for you, I want to offer you a guided somatic journey so that you're able to keep your mind present in your body as you're moving through the practice, and you're understanding why you're doing certain movements. When we see people who have depression or who are grief-stricken, you'll notice that there's a natural tendency to start to fold in and fold over. We tend to withdraw inward. So when we work with the lungs in Qigong, we want to start to open up and move in the opposite direction, to start to invite the body to open again. This opens through the lungs, which are the container for our grief, and allows them to take in fresh life and fresh inspiration. It also helps us to open up our heart again. Perhaps the most difficult element of grief is that there's this incredible amount of love that used to have somewhere to go, and now that that person is no longer there, or that situation, this love is just in limbo, and then we pull in and we contract as a means of holding on to it. The lungs gather in. So throughout any practice that I offer you here on this channel, it's very coupled with my studies in traditional Chinese medicine, which are part of the Qigong family. I'm also very interested in neuroscience, the path of meditation, theology, mysticism. All of these elements are pulled together for you in one cohesive whole as a means of helping you to come back to who you really are, your true intrinsic nature. When these practices came into my life, Tai Chi and Qigong, I noticed very quickly and very succinctly, it was almost like this light starting to be able to generate within me, giving me hope, allowing me to have faith, and not in something out there, but coming back to something within myself that has always been there, and it's the same for you. It's in there. But with this world that we live in, it feels very difficult to access that. This period in time is very externally driven. You know, what do you have? What is your appearance? What are you driving? What kind of a home are you living in? What luxury items are you buying? There's this real external projection, and yet if we look at this with a clear and honest vision, we can see that so much of this is a fallacy. It's not a reality. Most people, what you see is just a tiny snippet of an existence that on the other side of the camera looks completely different. Your heart is your compass, your internal North Star, and your most trusty guide. This will mean allowing yourself to move out of your head, unwinding some of the compulsion towards worry, anxiety, overthinking. And I really appreciate what that's like, because there are times where I still find myself falling into that hole of, getting in a panic, and then I come back and I know what I need to do with my practice, and to breathe into my heart space, get out of my head and pull myself back into my heart, and allow this energy to just absorb into center, so that you can really unwind and relax. Because when we're all tense, everything is contained and you're not able to receive any external information that can be really helpful to you. So if you're interested, I may also do a few guided meditations on this channel. I'm really open to being guided by you as to what you would like to see more of here, including what kind of practices would be beneficial to you, and opening up a community conversation. Starting at the end of June, I'm going to be offering a 12-week course. I'll speak about that in another video, but it's really to help you with tools to last you a lifetime, to help you transform your life. These are practices, methods that I've used for myself that pulled me out of the worst times of my life, and I'd really love to share these with you. So that'll be coming up at the end of June, so about 2 months from now. And that'll include not a workbook, I would say, but more of a journal for you to journal through, so you can really keep track of what you're doing. And then also we do a weekly practice online, and then we'll also do a weekly online, so 2 hours a week, where we'll sit down as a group and have a conversation about what you're moving through, get ideas from the community about how you can move forward, whatever it is that you need to have that little bit of extra support. We've really come to a crossroads on this planet. For me personally, I feel myself pulling more into my heart space and wanting to radiate love and care in a greater capacity outward, rather than moving more into the external materialistic side of things. But whatever it is that you're going through, know that you're very welcome here in this space. I'm very grateful for your company, and I really love being able to share the practices with you, and now the opportunity to open up my life with you so that we can create this greater community together. Thank you so much for your time always. I hope that wherever you are in this world, today is being kind to you, and more important, you're learning to be kind to yourself. Sending you so much love from my heart to yours wherever you are.